It's all good.
What does Marchie offer you?
Well, I think Margie offers us a tremendous amount of consistency. Um, he's kind of the same guy every day. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's just done such a good job. I think really, really emerged for us. I thought, at the end of last season, he really started to kind of take form, and then I think probably has had as good an off season as anybody in our program, and he had a tremendous spring football, and obviously he's provided us with some scoring opportunities, this year, and he's just done a great job in really every facet of what he's done. It seems like he's made a play in every game and has provided a spark for us offensively.
You said towards the end of last season is kind of when it changed. Was there a moment or anything that stood out where you're like, oh, he's turned the corner?
No, I don't think. I think we always had a really good idea what kind of player Marchie was, and coming, obviously being a transfer, there's just that missing the time that you have from, not being in organized activities from December until June at that position is difficult just from, the amount of running that you have. And I think we always knew that there was a really good player in there and a kid that worked really, really hard. But I think we really started to see once, through winter and then once we got into spring football, when he was really able to hone in on exactly what we were doing offensively, and then really getting himself in great shape, that you really saw the ability and talent that he has was really able to shine. And he's been one of the most awesome guys to be around ever, because he's just such a good dude and smile on his face every day, and he's the exact same positive attitude, phenomenal kid.
Is it kind of odd to you that maybe from an outside perspective, Trevor kind of goes unnoticed at times with all he's able to do for you guys on special teams and on offense?
Yeah, you would know better than I would if he goes unnoticed. I think we tend to notice him every day. He just does so much for our football team. I mean, if you come to a game, you see him everywhere. On special teams and on offense, and he's on every kind of special team. He's hard to miss.
What are the challenges that go with the transition that Julian had to go through in terms of, I know moving around the line is not uncommon, but moving to, a position like he has got to be a little different.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think every kid's different when you move them on the offensive line. For him, I think the playing on the outside first, I think it was beneficial to him in a lot of ways. I think the natural movements he's always had, but the first thing is obviously the mental side of it, and what you're required to know at tackle is it's not less than, it's just different than what you're required to know on the inside. And then, the game is played a little bit differently inside too. I think probably the biggest thing is just the little changes in technique that have to be made, and as opposed to pushing, you're pulling, and some different things from that side of it. And it takes a little bit of time just to learn the little nuances that maybe on a particular play, maybe he was used to using this kind of technique, and maybe I could use this to my advantage to, maybe I have to use a different leverage or a different step. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And, center is one of those positions that you tend to sometimes have guys that have played it for a long time. And that's kind of what they always did. That's something that he never did, so I think just that little part of it was new to him. But, I think from an early standpoint, we knew that he was going to be pretty good at it.
I think the game plan was if you guys didn't have Bobek, you were kind of transitioning him already, correct?
Yeah, that was something certainly that we talked about already, and as we talked about before, we wanted to always have what we felt like our best five on the field, and it was, fortunately we did have Brian, so we were able to play Julian in a position that we felt he was ready to play comparatively to other guys, and so obviously that's why we played him there at that position last year. And I think he could go out there probably right now and play tackle if need be, but he's done a great job this year, and he's played really, really hard.
What made you think he had what it took to be able to man that spot?
Well, I think the first thing is he's intelligent. He's a very, very intelligent young man. The second thing is he works really hard at his craft. He's a very prideful young man. So whatever you ask him to do, he's going to invest in it to the fullest his ability, which is really, you know, for him, I think that's just it's a great compliment to him. Secondly, I think you see there's the athleticism that he has. You know, he's a guy that, you know, we've always been a team that has pulled our center quite a bit, and we knew that that's something that he would excel at. But I think when you look at him, the way he's built and the way that he can bend, he plays at really good angles, which has allowed him, and he plays with a tremendous amount of torque, so he has the ability to, you know, squeeze on some players that may be even bigger than him. We just thought that he was a guy that was able to really right the ship in there and kind of lead that offensive line from the inside out.
Why have those, you know, quick wide receiver screens kind of taken over some offenses? I mean, I imagine we'll see quite a few of those this weekend.
Yeah, you know, I think every team's a little bit different in what their, you know, what their philosophy is and how they want to attack a defense. And you know, some people are more vertical down the field, some are a blend of others. You know, I think it comes down to what your players can do typically. You know, and I know it seems that there's a lot of them in this conference, but you know, quite frankly, in any way in today's football, I think they're all over the place. And the way the game's played defensively, I think dictates how much of that you can do. And you know, it seems to be that in the last, you know, recent years, you know, defenses have shifted a little bit of the way they played into playing defense a little bit from the inside out, whereas opposed to a couple of years ago it was outside in, and you know, just different ways that safeties are supporting and those kind of things. So, you know, for us specifically, you know, it's some weeks it's really good, some weeks it's not, and you know, obviously it's a good way to get a player in the ball in space. And you know, some people have equated it to, you know, the toss sweep of, you know, a way just to get the ball out there. And you know, and also I think you see it now that's in vogue, the run pass option. I think some people consider that, you know, I can't really tell you much for what other people think about it, but it's been something that's been pretty good for us, you know, in the past. And you know, I'm sure we'll probably see a little bit of from our end of it as well this week from the Texas Tech offense, I'm sure.
You're talking about inside out. That's interesting. Inside, yeah, it's yeah.
Yes, sir.
What does that have anything to do with the rushing, averaging just 65 yards a game against Big 12 opponents, or you know?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah. You know, I think it's trying to find some formations to find ways to run the football is always, you know, critical. And you know, I think we would have liked to run the ball maybe a little bit more effectively last week. You know, we attempted to. I thought the conditions probably hurt us a little bit, but that's something that we have to continue to get better at. And you know, we're attempting to do so every week. And but yeah, I think you know, sometimes that is. I think especially with the nature of the way we play, I think, you know, people want to stop the run, and I think that's always the first thing that every defense wants to do is how do you stop the run. And yeah, you continue to find ways to do that a little bit better.
Because of David, I mean, myself and fans, and I'm sure everybody standing here thought you guys would be 150 yards a game.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to have 400 yards rushing a game, you know, but you know, we have to continue to try to do the things that we feel best to try to get us, you know what I mean, just an opportunity to find those yards, however they may be.
What does Texas Tech do in particular to take away the run?
Well, I think they're unique. They're different than what they've been in the past. You know, they play more of an odd front of a variety of that, and you know, they play with some overhang defenders, and they do a really good job kind of squeezing everything in. And you know, they have some really good linebacker play, and you know, they got some really good guys up front. So they're certainly a challenge as well to find ways to run the football.
Texas Tech can put up points real quick. What gives you the confidence that if you guys kind of do get into a shootout, that Kyle will be comfortable in that situation?
Well, I think the first thing that we always have to do is we have to follow the game plan that Coach Campbell lays out for us. You know, and I think he always has a great beat on, you know, what do we need to do defensively, offensively, and through special teams to give us a chance to win the football game. And that's the first thing that we always try to do, you know, is just make sure that from an offensive standpoint that what we're doing is matching what the vision of the way that we need to play the football game to have a chance to win the game is. And, you know, if it's a shootout, then, you know, then we got to score more points, hopefully, you know, and if it's not, then, you know, we got to still try to score more points than they do somehow, you know, whatever that may be.